Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome to Partnerships for Profit. Today we are joined by Christina McKinnon, who is a renowned leader in family law and personal injury across South Florida and the managing attorney of the law office of Christina A. McKinnon, PA. Christina, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me again. I think this is the second time I've been here this year, huh?
Absolutely. A repeat guest. I love it. It means we're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if any of our listeners, weren't around for the first one, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Christina McKinnon, PA?
Okay. I am Christina McKinnon, attorney Christina McKinnon in sunny South Florida. However, we handle cases all throughout the state of Florida in the areas of matrimonial and family law and personal injury. We've been around for over 2 decades. This is my 21st year in business, although I've been practicing for 23 years. And, I've certainly found my calling. I've known about this desire to help others and advocate or fight for other people since I was about 7 years old. And it is my pleasure to step into the shoes of my clients and fight on their behalves and make sure that we are resolving the most intimate details of their lives in terms of the strife, the turmoil, and the conflict that they are experiencing in their interpersonal lives. So that's me, attorney Christina McKinnon, McKinnon Legal.
Great. And can you tell us a little bit about the people that you help? What are some of the pain points and problems that they're experiencing that you're helping them solve and resolve?
Right. I mean, on the personal injury side, it's certainly getting better, right? And these are people with a partial permanent impairment, right? People that are truly injured. So for that, it takes a while. It takes a while for them to treat, for them to document the injury, and for them to improve. Some people will require repeated surgeries in the future, which of course will be better for their recovery in terms of financial recovery, maybe not so much for their physical recovery. So those are my personal injury clients, and we handle premises liability, which is, you fall on someone else's property, or negligent security. You go into someone else's shop and someone stabs you or shoots you because, there was inadequate security there, or vehicle negligence. So vehicle negligence is just the run-of-the-mill car accident, which are replete in probably every city, but certainly in South Florida. South Florida has one of the most dangerous intersections in the United States. So, there is no lack of business with the personal injury. On the matrimonial and family side, we run the whole gamut. The only thing that we don't do at McKinnon Legal is adoption. So we refer those out. But divorces, high asset, high end, high conflict divorces, run the gamut from same-sex divorces to alimony, attorney's fee, child custody battles, child support, and equitable distribution. People like to fight over stuff, right? stuff that they can just go and buy again. But it can be pretty heart-wrenching for the client. So I think having an effective representative and advocate that will lessen that emotional toil and burden for them is something that's highly desired in family law.
Right. Well, and I'm curious, before we get too much further away from it, when you were discussing yourself in the intro of the show there, you mentioned that you kind of knew around 7 years old that you had this drive to help people. And I'm curious, is there a story there where you recognized that it was there? It sounded like there might have been a story there of something that occurred at 7 years old that clicked on the light bulb for you that you wanted to help people.
You know what? I don't know if anything occurred, but I'm the type of person, I always see the end, right? I see the end and I know the path that I'm supposed to go, but, I've always been a pretty headstrong, young lady, and I'm the youngest of 5 older siblings. And, hey,
Oh, wow.
I knew what was best for them, of course.
You didn't
So
get
it's
away with
always,
anything.
jockeying for position around the dinner table, or, talking about politics because, my two older brothers were 17 and 15 years older than me. So,
Oh,
whatever they talked about, I was in the conversation. And I had a knack for debate. Let's just put it that way. And that is something that I knew I wanted to do. My oldest brother is also an attorney, so the oldest and the youngest, and I just never ever veered away from that. I was the captain of the debate team. I was the captain of the chess club. Pretty strategic in my thought. Sort of the one that is to the background, but will rear up to the forefront and fight to the death if needed. So that's who I
well,
am when the time comes.
that's right. I was going to say, I'm sure that helps you and serves you well in your day-to-day role at the office, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we have, built something special. Right
Mm.
now we have a team of about 10 or 11 people. I think it's 10, 10 people. And, we have grown to a multi seven-figure firm that services a lot of people. And as you can imagine, over 21 years, we have serviced thousands of people. And
Wow.
that's where I've honed my skills, right? Honed my skills first in Miami-Dade County and Broward County, but we just tried a case to the hilt yesterday in Palm Beach County. But we have cases all throughout the state of Florida, from the Panhandle in Tallahassee and Pensacola to Northeast Florida and Jacksonville, all throughout Central Florida, Tampa, Osceola County, Orlando, and then all the way down to South Florida and even in the Keys. So
Wow.
we've been pretty privileged to be able to help so many people, and people trust us. I didn't like in the beginning when people would call me a bulldog and this and the other. I know it's good for a client to think that their lawyer is a bulldog, but as a woman, I wanted to be a ladylike. But at 50 years old, I no longer have that apprehension of being called a bulldog. I wear it as a badge of honor, and like I said, it's my honor and my privilege to fight on behalf of people who can't fight for themselves.
I mean, that's fantastic. And I'm curious, a lot of the, lawyers that I speak to, a lot of the firm owners, they come on the show and they say, oh, well, I work in personal injury law
Hmm.
and I work in personal injury law. And this one, I work in family law or I work in this. And they have sort of all of these little niches, and that's the only thing they do. But that's not the case for the law office of Christina A. McKinnon, PA. You handle both family law, you handle both personal injury, you handle kind of a wide breadth of types of cases and types of, matters that come before the courts. Is there advantages to that diversification or disadvantages to that diversification? If so, what are the advantages and what are the challenges?
I mean, actually, it is pretty niched down, right? So
Oh,
it
okay.
is family law. Family law is the biggest umbrella, but under that, you have divorce, you have paternity cases, you have domestic violence cases, you may have some name change cases. And under a divorce or a paternity case, you'll have custody, you'll have attorney's fees, you'll have child support. Under a divorce case, you'll have alimony, you'll have equitable distribution. All of that is still under the auspices of
Right.
family. When it comes to personal injury, we only handle three three
Hmm.
areas, which is the negligent security, the premises liability, and the vehicle negligence. We don't do workers' comp. We don't do medical malpractice. There's some other areas that are under the auspices of personal injury that we just don't cover. So we have limited it a bit and niched it
Yeah.
down so that we're pretty specific. I've had the privilege of having consultants in the past, and those consultants said, "Oh no, you got to niche down to one practice area. You can't do
Right. Right.
personal injury and family." But we've been able to successfully navigate those waters. And I have an associate attorney, so I'm not as busy as I used to be in the past because we have attorneys. We've grown to the point where we have attorneys that handle the bulk of our matters, and very highly competent and skilled attorneys in their expertise, where I can focus on the cases that I want to take, or really hone in on those personal injury cases. To tell you the truth, my practice started as a personal injury firm. But, during the pre-suit period, the state of Florida gives about 48 months in terms of pre-suit before you're absolutely barred from filing a lawsuit. So, either we're going to file the case at the onset or we're just going to try and settle it during the pre-suit period with the insurance company, with the adjusters. During that time period, it's a long wait, right? So we took other cases to stay afloat early on, right, in those lean years, and the family cases is what continued to come, and we just became known as a family law guru. I sat as the chair of the family court committee for the Dade County Bar Association from 2009 to 2013 for over 4 years, and that's not even what I started out doing, right? But we just, really cut our teeth and tried a whole lot of cases in family law till, and hey, the drama excites me. Or I'm not gonna lie, so give me drama, I'm running to it, I'm gonna go sort it out. I'll sort you out. So that is what I do. And every day is exciting. Every day is a new story. Every day it's somebody who's in turmoil that needs help.
Right. And, I'm curious, you began your career in sort of the labor and employee relations in the healthcare sector. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was my first job. I sort of thought that I was going to be, um, labor and employment lawyer, boring, but no, I had to get out of there quickly. And almost instantly, I would say within a year or so, a year and a half out of law school, I started my own firm.
Is there anything that you learned during that time in labor and employee relations that you kind of carried forward into your current practice? Any lessons you learned or any kind of insights that you gathered from that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think all things, build upon each other, right? So I'm an employer. I manage people. So yes, absolutely. The SOPs that I've drafted for the firm, standard operating procedures and policies and procedures for the firm. A lot of that was based on, the agreements and SOPs that we had for the major hospital system or healthcare system that I worked for before. And before that, while I was in law school, for a period while I was in law school, I used to do economic development, right? So we would help businesses expand or start, whatever in Miami-Dade County. I never knew I was going to be a business owner. I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. It's just, what I did at the time. I worked, through law school. I went to law school at night and on the weekends. I had no life, but I had a full-time job during the day. And that's what I did. And I didn't know that job in economic development, being a business manager and helping people expand their businesses or new companies create their business and how to do business with the county, would also, be a foundation for being a business owner one day.
Right. Now, throughout your career, you have received, just an incredible amount of accolades. Would you care to share some of those with us and share some of what they mean and what they mean to you?
Oh my God, I can't remember them all, but and to tell you the truth, they really don't mean anything to me. But I think they mean something to the clients, right? It's something good to display on your website and put on your LinkedIn or what have you. But we've been recognized as one of the fastest growing businesses in the nation. By the law firm 500. We've been recognized as a Seminole 100 company, which is fastest growing business that is an alumnus of the Florida State University. Go Noles. And then, oh my goodness, I don't know, one of the most prominent and successful business owners in South Florida. We've also been featured on the cover of Attorney at Law magazine.
Wow.
And been on the, let me see, South Florida Legal Guide top lawyer listing for the past 5 years.
Wow.
So we're recognized as a super lawyer. I'm sure I'm missing some things. The Junior
National
League
Black Lawyers Top 100.
Yeah. The Junior League of Miami recognized me in 2006, so it's been almost 20 years as a woman who makes a difference.
Mm,
My volunteer work is probably the only thing that I'm proud of. All of those other things is just, longevity in the game. I'm always going to play the long game. You're not going to beat me by um, by longevity, right? I'm not going to give up.
right.
Who was it, Babe Ruth, that said, you can't beat a person who never gives up, right? So that's me. I'm playing the long game. I'm in it to win it. And I'm going to be outlasting just about everybody. All right. So it's not about me. It's about doing better each and every year and how many people we can serve and how much value we can bring to the public.
Well, and I'd love to dive a little bit more into your philanthropic work, the,
Hmm.
community partnership for the homeless
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
the Put Something Back program. Can you tell us a little bit about what those are and your work with them?
Yeah, early on in my career, when you're just starting out, I did a lot of pro bono work, quite frankly,
Mm,
as we're waiting for those personal injury cases to settle and getting more cases. You do good work for the people that aren't paying you, and then word gets out. Like, here's an aggressive, hard-hitting attorney, and they're going to tell their family members, and they're going to tell their friends, and they're going to tell their colleagues. So yeah, I did a lot of volunteer work for the Something Back program at that time. Community Partnership for the Homeless. I started a literacy program there for the kids
wow.
that were there, and but for the grace of God, there go I. Those kids didn't deserve to be there. Their parents fell on hard times. Some people were just a paycheck or two away from being homeless, and it was a shelter that had a very nice facility for the children. And every, I don't know, Thursday, I would go and we do homework. We had a literacy program for the little ones, to teach them how to read. And we were recognized as the volunteer of the year. Our company was recognized as
Wow.
volunteer of the year for that year. So, that is something that I did early on. And right now, we continue to mentor young girls who are considered, disadvantaged, who have not had the requisite exposure to be successful in life. But, if I'm a part of their lives, I'm going to make sure that they are.
Wow, that's incredible. And I
Mhm.
mean, that all goes back to that, kind of innate to your character drive to help someone that we discussed earlier, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's what it's all about, right?
Mm,
So I think the people that are in business for the money, um, are missing the whole point. All right. So we have a social responsibility. Not only do we help our clients, but the prosperity of our business is predicated on, how much of that we can give back into the communities that support
right.
us. Mhm.
Now, when clients come to you, is your approach, is it sort of a one size fits all approach for each client, or is your sort of legal strategy highly custom tailored to each individual client in their specific case?
Absolutely. Catered to or tailored to the individual client. So
Mm,
we give them a strategy session as to what their best day in court will be at the end. Like I said in the beginning,
right.
right? I always see the end, right? So the end leads me. So we're not sort of trying to figure it out as we go along. We know where we're going, and that is sort of how the case is tailored to. And everybody's different. We have people with different issues. It may both be divorce cases or high asset divorce cases, but the issues are very different in that divorce, or the resolve of the client may be different, right? So I may have a housewife who, doesn't know what's in her husband's accounts, just had everything taken care for her, and has no idea what he's hiding or transferring or whatever the case may be. It's my job, to really go and find the money and make sure that she can transition to, some security, some financial
Right.
security after the fact. Or we may have, a woman who is, or let's use a man in that instance, who is really in need of his kids, right? So, and that is a very common theme that we have here in the state of Florida. The law changed about 2 years ago, 2.5 years now, where there's an automatic presumption of equal time sharing for dads. But
Mm,
that is a presumption, right? And
right.
presumptions can be rebutted. So a lot of times it's, I'm the mom and I do this and I do that. I, know all the teachers. He doesn't know the teachers, etc. It is a best interest factor argument, but it's also, did he have the opportunity to? So I
Right.
believe in you give somebody the opportunity and it's theirs to lose, right?
Right.
So, making sure that, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Men can certainly do what women can do when it comes to rearing children. Even the tender years doctrine, what we used to call it here in the state of Florida, has been abolished, meaning that, even if you have an infant and that infant is nursing, guess what? That breast milk can be on ice for 48 hours. So you better pump and
Mhm.
refrigerate. So, you can do a 2-day rotation and still have an equal time sharing arrangement.
Yeah.
So where there's a will, there's a way. Even when I had my baby, guess what? Pumped and gave him to my husband.
Right.
So I had help. I had help at least, during that time. So there's equal opportunity for men in the state of Florida, and I'm here to ensure that for all of my clients.
That's great. And I mean, over 20 years in business, right? I
Hmm.
mean, how has your sort of approach to case management and client relations evolved and changed over those 20 years? Are there things that you do now that you wish you had done when you first started? Are there things you know now that you wish you had known when you first started?
You know what? I wish I had started hiring a team earlier
Mm,
than I did. I didn't start scaling the firm and really expanding the firm until I guess about 9 years ago. So, the first decade or the first 11 years was pretty much just, me and a legal assistant or a dedicated paralegal. And I was a true solo practitioner. And I just made it so much harder on myself. So, yes, I can do everything that my team does, but I don't have to, right? It doesn't all
right.
bottleneck with me. So, in terms of the quality of service, no, they may not be getting me for every single case, but they're getting my system, right? They do have me overseeing the cases that come into my office and creating the strategy, but they have some aggressive, hard-hitting attorneys as well that are
Right.
working on the cases, and we can service a lot more people throughout the state because of, just the multiplier effect. I can duplicate or triplicate myself and handle more cases and bring more value to more people throughout the state.
Well, and you mentioned this notion of kind of scalability, right? What is something that law firm owners can do to ensure that when they are scaling their practices, they are doing so in a sustainable way? Because I'm sure that it's very easy to get overwhelmed when the business is scaling, right?
I mean, not if you have the right support, right?
Mm,
So, really anticipate the support, make sure that the attorneys are adequately staffed with paralegals and legal assistants to assist them. I never want anybody to be overwhelmed. I never want anyone in my office to experience bottleneck. I mean, and I know what that's like. I'm the owner, and you know, as the owner and as a lawyer, sometimes we have that perfectionist mindset, like nobody can do it better than me. So I got to
yeah,
have my hand in everything, right? And then you just got to relax and trust the process. They may be 90% or maybe 95%. Some of the attorneys probably better attorneys than I am. Great. Let me give you an opportunity. Go forth. It's been 2 decades. I'm not as a young buck anymore, but still as feisty, but not as young as I used to be. And it's my honor to make sure that we have a system that works and that we are able to empower others to implement that for our clients.
right. That's and I'm curious. You mentioned this 20 plus years, right? And I mean, that's
Mhm.
a great run, and I'm curious over that 20 plus years the technology has sort of really evolved in the past 20 years. Has that kind of emerging technology affected operations and the way you run the firm at all?
Right, it's made it a lot easier, certainly. I remember learning everything by hand. The child support guidelines, we had a formula, and we had to, put them in this little chart and write everything out. I always wrote mine out in pencil because I had to erase a lot, right? But now I use, the family law software application, and we just plug in the gross incomes. It automatically calculates the net. It gives the deductions. It takes out the credits, whatever the case that needs to be done for that. And instantaneously. It comes in. It puts in the number of overnights automatically, and I don't have to do it by hand. Our discovery process is a lot more streamlined. We have another software called Esquire Tech, where we upload all of the, interrogatories or discovery requests. The client answers them to the best of their ability, and then it goes straight to the attorney to fill in the rest, and then it comes out in a nice,
Wow.
well-printed form to be filed with the court. So it cuts down on a lot of the drafting, cuts down on a lot of the busy work, a lot of the paper pushing that is normally in a family law firm. A lot of people think that practicing law is so sensational and exciting. Not all the times. Maybe when we go to trial, then we get to have a little showmanship. But a lot of it is paper pushing. A lot of it is drafting, researching, and if you don't have the wherewithal to sit your butt in the seat, have some iron
Right.
buns and get the work
Right.
done, then it's going to be very, very boring for you. But the software has certainly facilitated that. We have AI that can manage some of the calls,
Right.
and you don't need as many people to do intake anymore, scheduling appointments as well. We have a whole lot of software, and I don't know, maybe we have about 15 or 17 programs that we use that really make life easier in the firm.
Right. And I'm curious, are there any sort of misconceptions about high stakes family law cases that you wish clients understood before walking through the door?
Um, it's not about revenge. It's not about teaching
Mm,
somebody a lesson. All right. That's what I find in divorce is that, you know, people I want to win and I want to make them hurt. It's not about winning because nobody really wins in family law, especially
right.
the children. The children are the ones that lose the most. But you're going to sacrifice your peace, trying to make somebody else pay. Whatever happened in the past. Let's just move towards the future. Always look ahead, not behind, right? You look
Right.
behind, you're going to be depressed. You look ahead, you get inspired. What's your life going to be like? Let's start planning for that. And let's make sure that we can get you adequately funded, that you have peace of mind, and that your kids are okay. Because when the parents fight, the kids, whether you're discussing it with them or not, they can sense it, they know it, and they'll probably be in therapy until their 40s because of what they're
Right.
observing in their household. So, but that's the biggest misconception is that this is something that is this is a mechanism or a vehicle to hurt the other side, and it's not at
Right.
all.
And
Mhm.
I probably asked you this question the last time we spoke, but I'm going to ask it again because I always find the answers to this question so interesting. When you think back on all the people that you have been able to help throughout your career, that you have been able to help through the law office of Christina A. McKinnon, is there a story of a client or a business or a family that you really saw a positive transformation in, a positive outcome for as a result of your help and guidance? Is there one that really stands out in your mind when you think back?
I mean, it would have to be a relocation case, right?
Mm,
And this was an unconventional relocation case. That case was, I guess it started during COVID, and mom was a travel nurse. She asked dad, hey, I'm going to take this wonderful opportunity where I can really make some money. Can you help me out a bit? Now, she lived across the state. He lived on the east coast of Florida, and she lived on the west coast of Florida. She drops him off and he won't give the kid back,
oh,
after a
wow.
year or so. This was 2020, 2021. He won't give the kid back. He goes ahead and he files a paternity action. They were not married, and gets paternity established. This is before the new law set in, and jurisdiction is in the court on the east coast of Florida, not where she always lived with the child since birth. So we file something in that case to have the child relocate back to her normal, and he files domestic violence actions against the mom. Almost a year later, we try the case on relocation, just because sometimes navigating through the courts can take that long. And we finally get her restored, to the majority time sharing parent of the minor child. So that case took probably about 2.5 years, but it's probably one of the most memorable ones. The second most memorable case is where we had a father that we represented, and this is a post-judgment divorce. And so, of course, there was the family case. Mother made a crazy allegation that dad was molesting the child.
Oh,
Then
wow.
a dependency case was opened. Mom is absconded and went over to the UK. We had to bring the child back through the file a Hague Convention case. And then there were such egregious allegations that mom made, which were all false, and we proved that at court.
Right.
But that caused my client to be arrested. Of course, they were dismissed. So it was in the criminal court as well. And then, of course, a domestic violence. So we were in several divisions of the court, be it criminal, domestic violence, family, and dependency, 4 different divisions of the court. And of course, successfully getting everything dismissed. And then at the end, we went back into the family court and got the case modified so
Wow.
that dad could be the majority timeshare parent because of all the lies and the turmoil that the mom took the child through. So those are probably the 2 most memorable cases that I have. And they're pretty emotional. They're pretty
Absolutely.
involved, and that's just a testament to show that people cannot handle these things on their own. They need somebody who is objective, who can, focus on the issues at hand and do their job and step into their shoes and fight as if we were them, right? So yeah, they're not my kids, but those are cases that, I fought hard for and I made sure that the right result happened. And sometimes the judge knows that at the very beginning, at the onset. However, they do have to give the other side their day in court, and all the evidence has to be presented and all the testimony has to be heard before we can have that rendering.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, Christina, this has been an amazing conversation. It is always a pleasure having you on the show. I hope you come back for another episode. That would be fantastic. If
Okay.
if anybody out there listening could use your help and guidance, could use the help of the law offices of Christina A. McKinnon, where can the people find you?
Hey, they can find us at mckinnon-legal.com. That's McKinnon legal, legal.com, or call us at 877-920-1614. That's 877-920-1614. I'm attorney Christina McKinnon. It's been a pleasure. Happy holidays, everyone.
Christina, thank you so much for coming back. This was incredible.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. And hey, anytime you want to sit and chat, let's do it.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been Partnerships for Profit presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Thanks again, Christina.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.